Columbia Square is on the air. From KNX, the voice of Hollywood, the greatest stars of radio, screen, and stage unite in a salute to Columbia Square, the 11th of today's series of programs dedicating Columbia's new headquarters on the Pacific Coast. A tribute to Columbia's friends around the world. A fitting climax to the greatest day in radio history.
A salute to Columbia Square. In the main theater studio of the new CBS Radio Center in Hollywood, before a distinguished audience of leaders in every field of endeavor, have gathered the great stars who will send many future broadcasts across the nation from Columbia Square. Tonight they celebrate the opening of Columbia's new Hollywood home with a more than 2-hour show that depicts a typical week in Hollywood radio. With songs by Tito Guizar, Shirley Ross, the Simeone Singers, Gene Austin, Ruby Elsie, Lanny Ross, Ann Jameson, Francis Langford, and Frank Parker. With drama by Gene Hersholt, Edward G. Robinson, and Claire Trevor. With comedy by Bob Hope, Joe Penner, Al Jolson, Park Dukakis, Laman Abner, Milton Berle, and Ken Murray and Oswald. You will hear, too, from Cecil B. DeMille, George McCall, and Luella Parsons. You will hear music by Wilbur Hatch, the Raymond Scott Quintet, David Brookman, Victor Young, Raymond Page, and Columbia's West Coast musical director, Lud Gluskin. A salute to Columbia Square.
In a few moments, these great stars will be heard in their salute to Columbia Square. But now, a message from the President of the United States to William S. Paley, President of the Columbia Network.
My dear Mr. Paley, I have learned with great interest that the Columbia Broadcasting System, keeping abreast of the times, has completed and is about to dedicate new KNX studios and facilities as the key station for the origin of Hollywood programs. Please accept my hearty congratulations upon this achievement, which I trust will be of benefit alike to the radio industry and to the listening public. The art of broadcasting, which has made such stupendous strides in comparatively few years, is, in my opinion, destined to play an increasingly important part in communications. It undoubtedly has possibilities and potentialities undreamed of at the present time. We do know, however, that it is a factor of the utmost importance in the maintenance and preservation of our constitutional guarantee of free speech. I am, therefore, particularly pleased with your announced policy of making your facilities available as a forum for the presentation of both sides of public questions. Only through free and untrammeled discussion can sound public opinion, so essential as a force in our democratic form of government, be achieved. In placing this emphasis upon a policy which I believe you have proclaimed publicly, I do not wish to underestimate the broad role which broadcasting has played in the social life of the nation as a rich source of entertainment and diversion for our entire people. In fact, I believe that radio adds to the fullness of life just as vitally when it provides laughter, enjoyment, and relaxation as when it furnishes public stimulus on matters of serious concern to the commonweal. Very sincerely yours, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the White House, Washington.
Of its gay pageantry brings a thrill. Up in the London you should see in Knight's Bridge, where Coldstream Guards are on parade. Handsome men and lovely girls in white and red and all arrayed. It shows you the spirit of old London town. Walk among the happy lovers when the sun goes down, so join me, and you will be shown a thrilling sight if you are in town tonight. blows. The trumpets are blaring, the guards are so daring. Come join the parade.
From the showplace of the nation comes a processional of programs from Saturday through the week. Vignettes of the great dramatic, singing, and comedy shows of the Columbia Network.
Saturday in Hollywood.
Let There Be Music, a favorite musical program of the West with a favorite musical director of the West. Wilbur Hatch playing the Academy Award song Sweet Leilani, and introducing the thrilling Tahitian war song Tahuahuahi with Columbia's newest singing discovery, Mary Lou Cook.
Willa ita hawa hawa ila henila abili go wilu wila doody doo wilu we ate doughy do wila hanali pa ola gabalai taku willa ita hawa hawa ila henila abili go wilu wila doody doo wilu we ate doughy do wila hanali pa ola gabalai ha we tahu willa ha we tahu willa ha 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 we ila henila apila go wilu wila doody doo wilu we ate doughy do wila hanali bola kabalai tahu ola ita hawa ila henila apila go wilu wila doody doo wilu we ate doughy do wila hanali bola kabalai
the many attractions that frequently lure Columbia's swing session to Hollywood for its regular Saturday night meeting is the presence here of the outstanding young swing composer-conductor Raymond Scott and his famous quintet. This unique organization, developed and sponsored by the Columbia Network, has set a new standard in swing. And tonight, the Raymond Scott Quintet salutes Columbia Square with a composition as modern as this new radio center itself. Utilizing only 6 instruments, Raymond Scott has created its own impression of unprecedented realism. Truly a new musical form, unique in its conception, vivid in its expression. In the recurrent beat of intricate tempo, he depicts the surging of electrical force seeking an outlet. In the rapid movement of melodic line, the ceaseless whirring of gigantic generators. This is a composition which might readily be a picture of the dynamic potentialities of the great network which brings it to you. Columbia presents the Raymond Scott Quintet in the sensational Raymond Scott impression of Powerhouse.
Sunday in Hollywood. From the heart of Hollywood comes your window to the film capital, Columbia's Hollywood Showcase. Star-studded tonight with Bob Hope, Shirley Ross, Lud Gluskin's orchestra, and Columbia's own grand singers, the Simeon Chorus. One of the brightest stars to shine from the Hollywood Showcase this year was a young comedian who has climbed the heights of Hollywood fame with dizzy speed. Trained for the stage, acclaimed as a radio star, and now accepted as one of the leading comedians of the screen, we present the punchline artist of the big broadcast of 1938, Bob Hope.
Thank you very much, Cliff Hall. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be on this dedicatory program. Dedicatory, that's for the intelligentsia. Whatever happened to those people? But all day long, they've been thanking everyone who's had anything to do with this beautiful building, but I think they've omitted the most important contributor. The California Chamber of Commerce presented the doorman with an invisible umbrella. I just thought I'd get that in there. But really, this is an unusual event, and we certainly have the weather for it. There was a time, just take your time tonight, don't worry about a thing. There was a time in Los Angeles when we used to have swell weather, but a lot of bridges have passed under the water since then. They're waking up. But I don't have to tell you again that this is a beautiful building. It really is. It looks like the Taj Mahal with a permanent wave. I mean, it's really the last word in broadcasting stations. Very swanky. Even the janitor wears formal overalls with tails and uses a platinum blonde broom. I wish you could be here. And really, everything is so modernistic. Disappearing microphones, disappearing fountains, disappearing lighting effects. Reminds me of my last program. I had a disappearing sponsor. But my sponsor was here for the groundbreaking, by the way. He put my option under the cornerstone. Now nobody can lift it. You know what an option is, a nervous breakdown on paper? But anyway, and really they have a foundation under this building. It's really a great thing. When they started excavating, they ran down into the ground so deep they ran into a Major Bowes unit. But it's a beaut. But really, it's a beautiful building. All the Columbia officials came out by airplane from New York for the opening today. They found out how much the building cost, so they're going back by bus. But really, you should see this theater here. So modern, it seats 1,200. Oh, I'm sorry, 1,201. Phil Harris has a girl sitting on his lap. I didn't see that over there. And it's so clean. They have a germ-proof microphone, a hermetically sealed control room, sanitary door handles, sterilized scripts, and they tell me before each broadcast they're going to boil the ushers. And if you look on the back of the seat there, you'll find a little vending machine. That's because every time a comedian tells a bad joke, the machine automatically flips out an aspirin. You'll find it right in the back there. It'll flip at you after that one there. But anyway, they're doing away with those old-fashioned applause signs, too. Instead, they're going to use trained seals. That's a weak gag. That's for the folks who still have the crystal sets. But anyway, they were going to dedicate this studio by breaking a bottle of orange juice over the mic. But they heard I was going to use it, so they thought it would be more appropriate to break an egg over it. But before the broadcast tonight, they had a very formal celebration dinner for all the celebrities, sort of a party. All the stars here in Hollywood were at the dinner. I saw Paulette Goddard wearing a silver fox cape, which later turned out to be Charlie Chaplin. And I can't wait tonight. I have a date now, folks. And Barbara Stanwyck looked cute. Being properly dressed was no problem to her. She brought her tailor with her. And my girl really stood out at the party. She was wearing one of those new pancake hats, but she didn't like it. The syrup kept running down in her eyes. I thought that would kill people. But anyway, I tell you, the longer you think of that, the funnier it gets. Too bad I have to go on with another joke. And Jackie Coogan was there. You know Coogan, all work and no jack. And I want to... Thank you. They're finally awake. But anyway, and I want to tell you, Columbia had more telegrams of congratulations today. The Republican Party sent one. It said, "Good luck on your new studio. If you hear of any Republicans with a good radio voice, let us know." But before I present the next artist, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to congratulate Columbia myself and say that I hope this studio will live to see the day it will broadcast the premiere of Gone with the Wind. And now I have the pleasure of presenting a grand singing star from the Paramount Studios, a young lady I had the pleasure of working with in the big broadcast of 1938. In that picture, we did a number that was written by Leo Robin and Ralph Ranger called Thanks for the Memory. Mr. Ralph Ranger is here tonight to conduct the orchestra. Leo Robin, I think, is having his hair thinned out. But first, I must present the plot of this little scene. In the big broadcast of 1938, I, Bob Hope, played the character of Buzz Fielding, a chap who'd been married and divorced 3 times. Buzz is pretty disgusted with life and love in general when he meets his first wife, Cleo. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting my first wife, Miss Shirley Ross. Hello, Cleo.
Hello, Buzz, darling.
Well, you look grand tonight.
Oh, thank you. You're looking wonderful, too.
Pretty dress.
You like it?
Are those lawn dresses in style again?
Well, so I hear.
Well, I'm glad I have a memory.
That's an awfully nice suit.
You like that?
Yes, awfully nice. Do you think suits like that will ever come back?
Well...
Say, who's tying your tie now?
Oh, I have a little Jap boy that does that.
You really should fire him, dear. That reminds me, I was going through an old trunk of mine yesterday. What do you think I found?
What's that?
That green tie with the caviar on it, remember?
With caviar. Eggs Benedict, maybe, but caviar never.
Oh, yes, caviar. Have you forgotten the last party we gave in Paris?
Oh, yes, I remember. Say, that was about the maddest gendarme I ever saw.
You know, Buzz,
What's that, Cleo?
I kind of miss your singing in the bathtub.
Good old singing.
Good old bathtub.
Thanks for the memory of rainy afternoons, swingy Harlem tunes, motor trips and burning lips and burning toast and prunes.
How lovely it was. Thanks for the memory of candlelight and wine, castles on the Rhine, the Parthenon,
And moments on the Hudson River line.
how lovely it was.
Many's the time that we feasted,
And many's the time that we fasted.
oh well it was swell while it lasted. We did have fun and no harm done.
Thanks for the memory of nights in Singapore.
Crap games on the floor.
You might have been a headache, but you never were a bore.
I thank you so much.
Thanks for the memory of China's funny walls, transatlantic calls.
That weekend at Niagara when we hardly saw the falls.
How lovely that was.
Thank you.
Thanks for the memory of lunch from 12 to 4, sunburn at the shore, that pair of gay pajamas that you bought and never wore.
Say, by the way, Cleo, whatever did happen to those pajamas?
Letters with sweet little secrets that couldn't be put in a day wire.
Too bad it all had to go haywire. That's life, I guess.
Say, I love your dress.
Do you?
It's pretty.
Thanks for the memory of faults that you forgave, rainbows on a wave.
And stockings in the basin when a fellow needs a shave. I thank you so much.
Thanks for the memory of gardens at Versailles,
Beef and kidney pie.
the night you worked and then came home with lipstick on your tie.
How lovely that was.
Huh?
Huh?
Thanks for the memory of lingerie with lace.
Yes, and Pilsner by the case. And how I jumped the day you trumped my one and only ace.
I remember that. How lousy that was.
We said goodbye with a highball.
Then I got as high as a steeple. But we were intelligent people.
No tears, no fuss. Hooray!
Hooray for us.
Strictly entre nous. Darling, how are you?
And how are all those little dreams that never did come true?
Awfully glad I met you.
Cheerio and toodaloo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From Hollywood, another of the chronicles of River's End. The star of the show, Gene Herschel, in his greatest of all roles. The title of the show, Dr. Christian. The sponsors of the show, the Cheeseboro Manufacturing Company, owners of the trademark Vaseline. The musical director, Wilbur Hatch. We take you now to River's End for today's story of Dr. Christian, starring Gene Herschel. Mrs. Lane, a kindly old lady, has always lived in the part of town which is respectable but none too fashionable. Her tiny house has always been her pride, but her two very successful children, Dick and Ella, have outgrown the old neighborhood. When their mother begins to age noticeably, they prevail upon her to give up the home she loves and move to the modern home of her daughter Ella and her husband, Mr. Murray. Mrs. Lane insists that if she could have a red and white stove, she would be perfectly happy to stay in her little home. But the children demand that she give up a way of living which they consider beneath the family dignity, and she finally agrees. However, when illness overtakes her, she sends for the family physician, the beloved Dr. Christian.
How is she, Doctor?
A little more comfortable, I think.
But how is she actually?
We just had a wire from Lucy asking whether she'd better come on. What shall I tell her?
I don't know yet. There's a chance then, Doctor, that Mother may not pull through?
Yes.
If there's anything she needs, go ahead and get it. Consider that you have a free hand.
Thank you.
We have every confidence in you, Dr. Christian.
You'll need it, because what I'm about to recommend is quite drastic.
Yes?
What is it?
I want to move your mother,
Move her?
where I think she'll be better off.
But the nearest hospital
I
is...
didn't say anything about a hospital. I want to move her back to her own home, the little brown house on the other side of the tracks.
Dr. Christian, are you crazy?
Most doctors would say so.
Move a 75-year-old patient in weather like this?
From a warm, comfortable, well-equipped house to...
That's just it, Ella. This house of yours hasn't got the things your mother needs.
Why, it's got everything.
Has it got a hideous, old carved walnut bed? And a walnut bureau with a marble top and a...
What are you talking about?
Those are the things your mother needs, Ella. Her own things. The things she's lived with for almost 50 years and loves. Why, she's eaten her heart out for them. She's dying for them.
Doctor.
And you'd have us believe that if she went back there...
She'd go carbo? No, of course, I don't claim that. But I do say if she found herself in her own home again, she'd want to live. And that's half of the battle.
How do you know she feels this way?
I found her over there the other day, sitting in her little old rocking chair in the kitchen, dreaming. When a person has only a little while left on this earth, the main thing is to make that little while happy for them. Your mother never should have been uprooted and brought over here in the first place. And if she were cowards, which, please God, she will, she's not coming back.
Dr. Christian,
Yes?
where am I?
Home?
Home. Then this bed ain't a dream.
Ella says it's a nightmare.
Doctor,
Oh, Ella, are you here?
we're all here, Mother dear.
Why, I don't understand.
We moved you back here a couple of days ago, Mother.
Oh, I do remember now, kind of.
And here you're going to stay.
As long as I'm sick.
And after you're well, too.
You're not telling me this just because I'm sick. And you think it'll make me feel better?
Look, let me show you something. When I raise your head up, you take just one peek over the footboard. No. That's too high. Look around the end of it instead. That's better. Straight through that door into the kitchen. Now, what do you see?
A new stove.
Is it the kind you wanted, Mother?
It's the very one I picked out.
That's what Dr. Christian said. But we weren't sure.
A new stove. It's white, trimmed with red and black.
Now will you believe you're going to stay?
Yes. Oh, children. Children.
Don't get on the bed, Lucy. Or you either, Dick. Don't you know when a person's sick?
Oh, let them get on the bed. It's like old times when you were all little.
That's right. You tell them where to get on and where to get off. After all, this is your home.
Sunday, May 8th, brings to the air a new musical program starring the modern composer-conductor, David Bruckman. At 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, Hollywood will send to the nation the glittering orchestral creations by this newest CBS conductor. Tonight, in preview of this new Columbia feature, David Bruckman presents The 12th Street Rag. Sunday in Hollywood, a part of the salute to Columbia Square, continues immediately following our pause for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Calling New York, calling Chicago, calling Hollywood, calling all America. Flash, Kokomo presents the Joe Penner program. Opening the show, we hear that one and only song stylist, Gene Austin.
Lordy, hear me, I'm so weary, I'm so lonely this morn. I'm so busted, can't be trusted, I just go rambling on. I left my home when I was younger, started out to stave off hunger. Get along, get along, get along, ramble on. Tried to steal and tried to gamble, gotten bad and had to ramble. Get along, get along, get along, ramble on. When I feel that chilly wind start blowing, I start out and don't care where I'm going. I learn to laugh and live for laughter, and I don't care what happens after. Get along, get along, get along, ramble on. The birds are flying by my door. They're worried so they're flying low. Something bad is bound to happen, it ain't gonna catch me napping. Get along, get along, get along, ramble on. The river's rising on a stand. My woman's found and another man. It's time for you to start to wander. Got to get from here to yonder. Get along, get along, get along, ramble on. When I feel that chilly wind start blowing, I start out and don't care where I'm going. I'll ramble, ramble, I'm a rover. When I down, down all over. Get along, get along, get along, ramble on.
And now it's time for Joe Penner. For several weeks, Joe has been trying to break into radio as an announcer. Tonight, the Columbia Network is holding an announcer's contest, and Joe thinks he has a chance to win. And now, entering the office of Mr. Charles Gander, the program director, we find the black sheep, Joe Penner.
Come in, come in. Well, what is it, young man?
Look, I've been all over this radio station. Maybe you could tell me where they're holding the announcers' tryouts.
Yes, this is the place. But don't tell me you want to be an announcer.
Well, I felt as though I should lend my voice to radio.
I'm sure it was just a temporary loan. Well, I'll have our hostess show you to the audition room where you'll meet the other contestants. Sadie!
Yes, Mr. Gander?
This is Mr. Penner. Take him to Studio B for the announcers contest.
Oh, so you're going to be an announcer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure we'll be great friends, won't we? Well, come along with me, Mr. Penner.
Okay. Sadie, look, do you think I might win this contest?
Well, that all depends.
Huh?
They're looking for an announcer with plenty of speed. Are you a fast talker?
Am I a fast talker? What are you doing tonight, babe?
Well, of all the nerve. Can you meet me at 8 o'clock?
Sure.
We'll have dinner.
Go to a show?
And it's home and good night.
Good night. Boy, that's the fastest date I ever had.
Hello, Joe.
Droopy, what are you doing here?
Oh, Mr. Drewsnut has entered the contest, too.
What? Say, Droopy, are you trying to beat me on this job?
Why not? I'm a pretty fast talker myself. What are you doing tonight, babe?
Dinner?
Show?
Home and good night.
Good night.
You win.
Good evening, folks. When did this contest start?
Oh, now who is this?
Oh, Mr. Drewsnut and Mr. Penner. This gentleman is Mr. Ramsey, another contestant.
Yeah?
He's the fastest radio announcer in the world, aren't you, Mr. Ramsey?
I'll say I'm fast. What are you doing tonight, babe?
You're too late. We cover that.
I'll say we did, Mr. Ramsey, and you're going to have to be plenty fast to stay in this company.
Why is that so? Well, listen, I can read so fast. The other day I grabbed the book of Anthony Adverse and bang. Read it in 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah? Well, the other day I grabbed the book of Anthony Adverse and boom, I read it in 4 minutes.
You think that's good? The other day I grabbed the book of Anthony Adverse. Ooh,
What happened?
I couldn't lift it.
Attention, men. Here comes Mr. Gander.
Well, boys, we're about to begin the contest to determine who is the world's fastest announcer. And remember, the winner not only gets a job, but also a grand prize for $500.
Oh, boy, give me the money. No?
Save your speed.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give each of you a number. Mr. Droopsnoot, you are number 1.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gander. I'll certainly do my best to win this contest fairly and conduct myself as a gentleman.
Splendid, Mr. Droopsnoot. Now, Mr. Ramsey, you are number 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gander. I'll do my best to win this contest fairly and conduct myself as a gentleman.
Well spoken indeed. And now, Mr. Penner, you will be number 3.
Thank you, Albert.
I didn't know what you said, Mr. Penner.
Did you hear what the other said?
Yes.
Well, that's it.
All right now, gentlemen, here are the rules.
Yeah.
You can have a copy of The Night Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Now, when I call your name, start reading. And when you hear the bell, you stop.
Do we each read the same thing?
Yes, you each read the first verse on the first round. Then you jump to the second and so on. Now, remember, read when you hear the name, stop when you hear the bell. And don't forget to take a deep breath. All ready now, Mr. Doopsnoot.
For the night before Christmas, also a house and creature turning even a mouse. Stocking a family, Jimmy can hope second notice the bang.
Mr. Ramsey.
For the night before Christmas, all the house and the creature was trying out even a mouse stocking behind the chimney cab hopes saying Nicholas will be there.
Mr. Penner. Mr. Doopsnoot.
That's the head. Monica, the man, the cat, the dog, the apple, out on the lawn.
Mr. Ramsey.
Children are standing there, been so as the head, Monica, the nine, the cap, the
Mr. Penner. Mr. Ramsey.
Without one of us to say, right, who was the man away the window, flew the glass, open the shutter, broke the sash, boom, one.
Mr. Penner. That's all. The contest is over. Say, did you pick the winner?
Mr. Gander, they all came out a tie.
A tie?
My, this is a dilemma. Well, gentlemen, there's nothing left to do but to give the $500 to little Sadie. What do you say, men?
It's all right with me.
It's okay by me.
And Mr. Penner, what do you say if I get the $500?
What are you doing tonight, babe? There was a man, and he said, I'm from the city.
You're from Spain.
A great big city.
A great big city.
I'm from Billings.
Billings, Montana?
No, the Billings in New York is very high.
That's because you're short.
Droopy, tell me, what kind of socks does President Roosevelt wear?
I don't know. What kind of socks does President Roosevelt wear?
Well, you ought to know you're one of his supporters. I'm from the city.
You're from the city.
A great big city.
A great big city.
I'm from Madison.
Madison, Wisconsin?
No, Madison is very hard to take. Are you kidding, lady? You know, it's raining cats and dogs outside, Droopy.
Raining cats and dogs? How do you know?
I just stepped into a poodle. Oh! I'm from the city!
You're from the city!
A great, big city!
A big city!
I'm from Tijuana.
Tijuana, Mexico?
No, Tijuana buy a duck?
Hey, Joe, wait a minute here. What are you doing with your socks on inside out?
Well, my feet were burning, so I turned the hose on them. Grab them.
Grab yourself a commercial.
I'm from the city!
You're from the city!
A great big city!
A great big city!
I'm from Tacoma.
Tacoma, Washington?
No, Tacoma, can of Kokomo. Say, Dopey, what's the difference between a hairdresser and a sculptor?
Oh, it's riddles now. Well, I don't know. What is the difference between a hairdresser and a sculptor?
Well, a hairdresser curls up and dies.
Yeah?
And a sculptor makes faces and busts. Oh, I'm getting weak. I'm from the city! A great big city.
A great big city.
I'm from Orange.
Orange, New Jersey?
No, Orange is sorry. It's time to say good night.
This is the salute to Columbia Square, dedicating the new Hollywood headquarters of the Columbia Network. We have heard from Raymond Scott, Bob Hope, Shirley Ross, Gene Hersholt, David Brookman, Joe Penner, and Gene Austin. And now on with
Monday in Hollywood.
From Hollywood, California, the Lux Radio Theater presents its producer, Cecil B. DeMille, America's outstanding showman and master of the making of pictures, Mr. DeMille.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. 25 years ago, Jesse Lasky, Samuel Goldwyn, and I rented a barn in an orange grove half a block from here and made one of the first feature-length motion pictures, The Squaw Man. It was on this street that D.W. Griffith made The Birth of a Nation, the first big American screen spectacle. The Christie brothers filmed their famous comedies on the very ground where this magnificent new radio center stands shoulder to shoulder with the modern motion picture studios. When we first came out here, Hollywood was a sleepy little coquette with sand in her shoes and orange blossoms in her hair. Today, the town is an imperious queen, glittering with boulevards that drape her person like ropes of diamonds. She dispatches her emissaries, shadow shapes of the world's handsomest men and most beautiful women, to every court and every land. She exudes glamour like a perfume, and her name casts an enchanted spell. Thousands of eager worshippers come from far and wide seeking her favors, wooing her for a smile. This is not the Hollywood we knew when we too crept into her arms seeking conquest. It's a greater Hollywood, a Hollywood that has caught radio as well as the silver screen to her bosom. Everything about this town's career points to a growth too fabulous to predict, and even the most cautious prophet must admit that Hollywood has perhaps a more imposing destiny than any city in the world. I'm humbly grateful to a kind providence that has permitted me to open several of Hollywood's most famous theaters. Grauman's Chinese with the King of Kings, the Carthy Circle with the Vulgar Boatman, the Criterion with the Whispering Chorus. Hollywood's Lux Radio Theater, which undoubtedly plays to the largest audience of any theater in the world. And now, this vast assemblage of studios, which will send entertainment winging to all corners of the earth through the incredible medium of radio. I'm accustomed in the Lux Radio Theater to introduce the stars of the program. So I'm going to present the greatest star of tonight's proceedings. He's a young man, only 36 years old, but one of the mighty pioneers in presenting entertainment on the air. A manufacturer who had the vision to realize radio's potentialities, he turned to this field slightly more than 10 years ago. Starting with a small network in the East, he's expanded his activities until he now controls the largest single radio network in the world. It's not often that we have a chance to honor a man who prefers to stand in the shadow of stars rather than take the limelight himself. But tonight, it is fitting that we pay tribute to the genius who built this magnificent radio capital. It's a privilege to congratulate and present to you the President of the Columbia Broadcasting System, Mr. William S. Paley.
I want to extend the heartiest personal welcome to all of you who are here and to all of you who are listening in to this formal opening of Columbia's new studios in Hollywood. I believe that at one time in the history of the ancient world, the Chamber of Commerce and other local boosters of a certain metropolis coined a slogan to the effect that all roads led to Rome. I do not know how true that claim may have been, but we do have ample evidence that here in this Western Hemisphere of the modern world, we have a new metropolis of the empire of entertainment, of which it may truly be said that all roads lead to Hollywood. In this city, not a very long time ago, a handful of pioneering men and women began to create a new realm, a world of make-believe and merriment, to which the peoples of the earth might go to find release and relaxation. What they and their worthy successors have accomplished marks a long forward step in perfecting the usefulness of human communication, for the motion picture is an expression of the art of communicating enjoyment, entertainment, and useful knowledge. In more recent years, we of the broadcasting industry have been privileged to play a new and important role in developing even further the art of communication. It has been our happy task to open for the peoples of the world new doors to entertainment, knowledge, and cultural opportunity. And it is our obligation to widen those doorways, to keep them free and open, and to increase the stock of treasures which lie beyond them. Tonight, Columbia opens its new headquarters in Hollywood. During the day, I have heard many enthusiastic comments on the modern styling of these new buildings, and I have read in the press many compliments to the splendid architecture which William Lescaz and his associates created for us. Of course, I am gratified by this praise, but I am tempted to recall the one simple idea that has dominated this project from its inception. We have built a workshop. We have built a place in which to do things. I mean by this that these premises were built to give new and better tools to the engineers and producers and artists who will use them. They were designed from the inside out, as any good workshop should be. They were designed to help produce better programs, programs that entertain, programs that inform, and programs that make people think. I say this with emphasis because I believe very strongly that broadcasting must do all three of those things to fulfill its rightful role in American life. It must entertain well, it must inform impartially, and it must stimulate honestly. I'm particularly pleased that President Roosevelt, in his gracious letter of congratulation, touched on these fundamentals. It is because we believe that these new Hollywood headquarters, reflecting many innovations of design and acoustics and control, will improve the art of broadcasting that we have built them and are dedicating them tonight. I know they will make for closer contact between Columbia and all its friends in Hollywood. And I know that as they serve these two objectives, they will give us cause for real pride. I should like to close these comments by offering my most sincere thanks to the brilliant stars of the stage, of the screen, and of the microphone, whose talented contributions to this program provide its real luster and distinction. Thank you.
Before becoming West Coast musical director for the Columbia Network, Lud Gluskin won fame in Europe and America for his brilliant settings of the melodies of all the world, both traditional folk song and the more modern music popular with the people of every country. Tonight, he has borrowed brilliant themes from our nearest neighbor to the south, themes to be interwoven in this medley of old California melodies. Lud Gluskin and his orchestra.
Allá no rancho grande, allá donde vivía, había una rancherita que alegre me decía, te voy a hacer tus calzones como con tus rancheros, en los comienzos de lana, en los sacados de huevo, te voy a hacer tus calzones como tus rancheros, en los comienzos de lana, en los sacados de cuero.
Va cantando calambambo, calambambo, este es el canto del carabalí, calambambo, calambambo. Tembloroso vuela el negro colibrí, elefante, mono, cebra, jabalí. Bambu, calambu, bambule, bambu, calambu, ayue. Bambu, calambu, bambule, bambú calambo a llover y va por la tierra el güete cantando su canto bomba. Bambú calambo, bambule, bambule, bambú calambo a llover. Tembloroso vuela el negro colibrí. Elefante, mono, cebra, jabalí, quimbamba, quimbamba, quimbamba.
Little star on the
This salute to Columbia Square will continue immediately after station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.